Hello everyone and welcome to Sentence Diagramming 101. This video is about Chapter 2, Word Function, and we are still in Section B, Verbs, but we should finish up this part in this video. So this video is going to start with a review of all the tense choices. So if you look at this chart here, these are all of the options. So on the left we have the simple tense, the perfect tense, the progressive tense, and then the perfect progressive tense. And each one of those comes in three flavors, right? Past tense, happened already. Present tense, it's happening now. Future tense, it will happen at some point. And then we also have the active voice, right? For bite, he bit, he's doing the biting, versus passive voice, which means he is being bitten, right? He is receiving the bite. So let's kind of work our way through all of these. If we start with the simple tense, that's my cat in the background. He wants to be part of the video too. But we start with the simple tense and let's just run through. So we've got past tense, right? He bit. So maybe this is a dog. I don't know if you want to go dark and say this is a zombie. Maybe it's vampires, whatever. Some creature is biting, right? So he bit in the past. Now, if I move that to today, I'm like, he bites. So probably a warning, right? I'm walking my dog and somebody's like, can I pet your dog? And you're like, I don't know, he bites. My dog doesn't bite, but you get the point. Or maybe I want to predict he will bite. He hasn't yet, but it might happen, right? He will bite. And those are all active voice because the he here is doing the biting. Now, what if we flip it and we make a passive voice? Now we have he was bitten, like he received a bite. Uh-oh, right? If this is zombie territory, we're in trouble. He is bitten. All right, this is zombie speak. This sounds like something out of The Walking Dead, you know, he is bitten, we must kill him, that kind of thing. But he will be bitten. Well, this is gloomy. But in all three of these, he is receiving the bite. It's just whether it was in the past, in the present, or in the future. Now, if we move on to the perfect tense, remember, that's the one that shows that an action started or continued, started in the past and continued on to a certain point, probably before another event. So these get a little more complicated. You can say he had bitten. So like in the past, he had bitten people. He may continue that behavior. He may not. Or I could say he has bitten. That's probably what I would say if I encountered someone and we're talking about a dog. Like, I don't know, he has bitten in the past. You can take your chances and pet him. He may like you. Or he will have bitten. This one's fun because this allows me to imagine a future where an event has already happened. By the time I leave, he will have bitten you, right? So English verbs let you time travel. It's magic. But those are all active because the he is doing the biting. Now, if we flip it and say he receives the bite, we will say he had been bitten. So now it gets a little more clumsy in your mouth, right? You're like, he had been bitten. That's a lot of words. Yeah, but it gives you that specific moment, right? He is receiving the bite. It has happened in a past time before now, right? It's past tense. Now, if we want to keep it present tense, we can say he has been bitten. We know that this thing happened in the past, but it is still existing. So he has been bitten up until now. Or he will have been bitten. Again, we're super gloomy on these. You know, before we escape the city, he will have been bitten by the vampire or whatever. But these are all passive because he is receiving the bite. Now, if we want to move on to progressive, this is that ing. We can have the past. He was biting. For a period of time, I had a puppy. He was always biting my shoes. He is biting. Maybe he is a puppy and he's continuing to bite my shoes. Or he will be biting. I can just imagine that this thing is going to occur, this event of the bite. But all of these are active voice again. Now, if we want to flip this around to passive voice, we're going to end up with he was being bitten. Or in the past, or he is being bitten right now. I don't know why I'm here telling you that instead of stopping the biting, but he is being bitten is present tense progressive, right? It's happening at this very moment. Or he will be being bitten. That is a mouthful, but again, we want to imagine a future point where this event of the bite will occur. So maybe he's held captive and, you know, in an hour he will be being bitten, but for now they haven't gotten him out of his cage yet or whatever, if this is every vampire movie ever. Now, if we want to combine these, because English gives us all of the options, sometimes we may want the perfect progressive. So this gives us he had been biting. So it's past tense, right? It occurred in the past. It's perfect because it stopped and it started before the current time, and it may or may not continue. And then it is progressive because it is continuing with that ing. So he had been biting. Now I can say present tense, he has been biting. Like this is behavior that has continued or occurred more than once, or he will have been biting. Again, we're still future, but we're super negative. You know, he will have been biting. So maybe I shouldn't put my shoes within easy reach of this new puppy. But again, active, because all of those are, the he is the doer of the bite. He's the biter. Whereas the bottom line is all passive voice, right? He had been being bitten. So in he had been being bitten, we're going to have this, this person who has been being bitten in the past. It started in the past, it's occurring over a period of time, and it's, may or may not continue, right? He had been being bitten, as opposed to he has been being bitten. We know about it right now, that right at this very moment, there was biting that occurred. It may continue, it may be over, but we're in the moment. And then my favorite verb phrase in all of English, which is he will have been being bitten. This is awful. Please don't write this in a paper, but this is what English allows you to do. Okay, come with me on this lovely journey. We are allowed in English, other languages don't allow you to do this, but we are allowed in English to imagine a future event as if it has already happened, right? We do this all the time. Like when you're sitting in class and you're hungry and you start thinking about lunch, and then after lunch, what am I going to be doing? Well, your future lunch has already become past tense in your brain. That is the future. If you're using a perfect progressive, that's the future tense, right? But, also perfect progressive. So he will have been being bitten. I can imagine a future when I don't know, let's go with vampires. If you're Buffy the Vampire Slayer and you're going to go rescue, I don't know, probably one of her crew. I can't even think. Xander, right? Wasn't that his name? Anyway, you're going to go rescue your friend from the vampires. And by the time, you can imagine in this present moment, right? By the time she goes to rescue him, he will have been being bitten all afternoon. So all of that will have happened, that future stuff. It hasn't happened as of right now, but in the future, by the time she gets to him, all of that will have happened. And that is how crazy English verbs are. But those are all of your choices in both active and passive voice. Now, moving on, we do want to make a brief note here about creative writing and tense in person, because this is something that a lot of people get confused on. So you're going to have the same sentence, right? You've got Jeff Castellucci. He's got a cover of the song 16 Tons, and I can write about it in lots of different ways. This first one is past tense, right? It echoed throughout the bar. And then it is third person because I've got Sarah here, some character, Sarah. And it is a reported thought because she wondered how he got his voice so low. Moving on to this one, we're still past tense, right? Echoed through the bar. We're still third person because Sarah is frowning, but now we have direct thoughts, right? How does this man get his voice so low? So that's a direct thought that Sarah's having. If we move to this one, we are still past tense. His voice is echoed, right? And as he sang about owing his soul to the company store, I wondered, oh, now we're in the first person. And this is a reported thought because I wondered how he got his voice so low. Whereas in this one, I'm going to frown. So we're still past tense, echoed. I is first person, but I have a direct thought. How does this man get his voice so low? So notice the difference there between the, we're all past tense, but first person, third person, and then direct thought, reported thought. Moving on, you can do this the same exact way, but in present tense. So it echoes through the bar and Sarah wonders. So third person Sarah, and then it's a reported thought. It echoes through the bar. We have Sarah frowns, and then this is a direct thought. And here we're still present tense. Echoes. We've got I instead. So now we're first person, still reported thought. And then finally present tense, first person, direct thought. So you want to be aware of those things as you are writing, if you're into creative writing at all. And then the last thing this chapter talks about is compound verbs. Just like you can have more than one subject, you can have more than one verb. And the movie excited and thrilled the viewers. So you can have more than one verb affecting the subject at one time. And that's called a compound verb. And we are finally through the verb portion of Chapter 2, Section B.